And welcome to episode 13 of Control Alt Deplete. I think it's number 13, pretty sure.
Yeah,
Lucky number
totally.
13.
Yeah.
Alrighty. We are here to talk more about World of Warcraft. I am one of your hosts, Buckblind, and on the right side of the screen is Mr. Bioshock, the other host.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing this week, Bio?
Good, I have a better sleep schedule now, so I'm doing good.
Nice, nice.
Um, yeah. Just playing WoW, testing a lot of stuff before I get into the new content. Still gotta do that, but I figured I'd do that with you this weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, so I haven't really been doing too much, just living.
Right. Been enjoying spring break. Kiddos are at home. The oldest one's at home. Wife's been at home. Took oldest to the children's museum yesterday. That was fun. Playing a lot of Minecraft stuff with them. So he's been having a good spring break.
Yeah, the picture you sent of that Minecraft thing was really cool.
Yeah, no, the Minecraft exhibit was really good. They did a good job with it. I was pretty impressed with it.
Yeah.
They had all sorts of different like statues and stuff.
Right.
They had a bunch of different also like builds, like almost like Lego type builds, but like dioramas or something like that. I don't know exactly what they are, but some cool stuff there. They had a lot of neat little things to do. So he enjoyed it a lot. He had a blast.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so what do we have to talk about today? You lead the way. You got the notes open. I don't, so.
Just gonna kind of briefly go over 10.0.7 and kind of cover a few of the things that I know. And then talk probably a little bit more about 10.1 because there's more content to talk about in 10.1 than there is for 0.7. But
and real quick, I want to go ahead and cover what I know about 10.0.7.
Okay.
Which is?
Don't say it.
All right, that's it. That's all I know.
What about Rets?
I mean, that's nothing. I don't know anything. I know nothing about it. I haven't done anything. I haven't touched it. I barely read up on it. It released, Tuesday? I think it was. It released earlier this week, right?
Yeah.
So that's about all I know. There's a new zone. Ret Pallies are OP, and that's about it.
Yeah. So if you're not in PvP or PvE content right now, Ret is the top dog. It's the best in PvE. It's best in PvP. I actually was playing on Holy Death Knight, which I have quite a high rating experience on 2400, and I was playing with a warrior that was totally random. During skirmish, it was just me and him versus one Retribution Paladin. Paladin killed both of us. So that kind of sucked.
It happens.
Like I was like, come on, like really? Like it was just so hard to hit. It was just crazy. But yeah, so I heard somewhere from a streamer that apparently the Retribution player base went up 400% in a couple days.
Nice.
Like if that's not like a slap in the face, like come on, like. But some light at the end of this tunnel. They're getting nerfed. Looks like probably this next patch.
Awesome.
Getting rid of that some of their defensives, a little bit of their damage, get tweaked a little bit.
But I think that nerf is this weekly reset.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
So the Ret rework is good. It's fun, and I don't see it not being fun because there's not getting changed. Only tuning damage.
Right. Yes.
So if you like the playstyle, you're gonna like Retribution. It's not that it's gonna be bad. It's probably gonna be fine. It's just not gonna be as broken.
Yeah. I'm not sure what all is different with it. I haven't played it since the rework. I don't know. Did you play it at all since the rework?
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
It was insane. Like,
not necessarily a damage standpoint, but just like the play style. What did you think of the play style compared to what it used to be? Nice.
It was so fun. Yeah, I was thinking of playing it, but then I'm like, I don't want to join the hype train, man. I was like, I actually was playing it for a little bit, and like, just put this in perspective. I'm very undergeared on my paladin. Full honor gear, nothing conquest, and I say to people for 150k.
Yeah.
And I'm like undergeared compared to some of the other Rets, where they're hitting like 200k hits. It's just not cool. It's too high. So it actually made me kind of frustrated when I lost that 2v1. Not maybe because I suck, but it's just discouraging now. I'm not doing PvP until this Ret's getting nerfed.
Well, we'll see how they pan out next week after the reset.
Like, the damage can be tweaked a little bit, and that'd be fine with me. The thing that's really hard is that you can't kill them. They're insanely tanky. They
Right,
have a 1 minute cooldown on a wall. They can use while stunned.
Right, and it seemed like from reading through the nerfs, the damage is getting nerfed a little bit. There's also
Just
a couple parts where
bit.
the damage is getting buffed slightly.
Yeah, JV's damage getting buffed when targets are stunned. Yeah.
Yeah, but mainly the healing seems like it's getting nerfed a lot. Like it's about 35-40% nerfs to the healing. So I think that should help with that then.
Yeah, like I don't mind some classes doing like insanely high damage if they're squishy. But when you have like the mixture of like they're one of the tankiest classes in the game at the moment, with the classes most damage, and another thing is that they made the Avenging Wrath a 1 minute cooldown. I don't know if you knew what that ability is, but
I know the ability. I didn't know it's a 1 minute cooldown now.
Yeah, it went from 2 to 1.
Yeah, as I say, I know it's normally a 2 minute cooldown.
So 1 minute cooldown on that ability is insane because
absolutely,
really strong. It's like a wings for every go they have possible. It's kind of crazy, but
right.
So yeah, the rework's coming. No, not the rework. The nerf is coming to the rework finally. It's only been like 3 days. I'm still like upset with it.
Yeah, it's literally the first week it's been out, and you're like, I need to nerf it.
Yeah, when I get killed in a 2v1.
It's kind of like I told you earlier today. Ret Pallies have been bottom of the barrel for like 5 years now. Give them a week, okay? Give them a week. They've earned a week to be OP. But yeah, no. Yeah, I do feel like Ret Pally is one of the least played classes and specs in the game. I feel like it's well, I feel like Ret Pally and Feral Druid, I feel like have always been very low play. Now Feral Druid got a lot more play this expansion, I think.
Yes, it did, yeah.
And then you always
we're playing the beta, and that's when my Feral Druid did pretty good.
Right, yeah, and you always have the diehard people who just like Druid and they love Kitty Druid, so they want Feral Druid.
Yeah.
I don't feel like you really have that same level of diehard Ret Pallies. I just don't feel like I understand wanting to play Kitty Druid because Feral Druid is different than any other class. But Ret Pally, Ret Pally doesn't feel special or different from any other melee class, and it never did much damage. So I just don't feel like you had that same diehard fan base that Feral Druid had. And on top of that, we're still bottom of the barrel all the time. So I think it's fine if Ret Pally is. Now, obviously, I don't want they shouldn't be OP like they are right now. But I would love to see Ret Pallies get some time in the sun, for the rest of this patch, maybe part of the next patch, be in the top 10 as far as damage goes. Top 5, top 10. I'd be fine with that. Give them a chance to shine finally.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's always fun to play the new class, even if it's just a rework. It's kind of like a new class,
right?
And the fact that it's just this strong is just like, I could go to any melee or top popular PvP streamer yesterday, especially, where they were not playing Ret Paladin or with a Ret Paladin.
Well, and I mean, so part of that is going to be the OP-ness. If they have a Paladin that is already somewhat, decent in it, they're going to play it so they can keep their rating and stuff really high and whatever. Part of it's also just the newness. People want to try it out, so that's going to be part of that. I mean, we'll see what it looks like again next week. Honestly, even check tomorrow or Sunday, Monday when it's getting close to the reset. See if they're still playing those. I totally understand the first 2 or 3 days. I would expect almost every PvPer, PvEer even, to be if they've got a Paladin that is somewhat geared, they're gonna test it out to see what it's like. It's the new thing. It's the new rework. They want to test it out. So I get that. Yeah, and then also, a lot of those streamers, they're gonna play whatever. It doesn't matter what class it is, what spec it is. If it's the top spec at the moment, they're gonna play that. That's what they're gonna play.
Yeah.
So obviously, you don't want to see it completely unbalanced like it is at the moment, but we'll see what it looks like next week. I'm sure that number will drop a bit, and you'll see more diversity in there. But
yeah. I'll move on just a little bit. We got that new zone. Me and you both have not been there yet.
Yep.
But
what is it called?
It's the Forbidden Reach.
Forbidden Reach, yes, that's right. That's where the Dracthyrs start, correct?
Yes.
So everyone else is going back there. Nice.
So it's called the Forbidden Reach. Yeah, you're going back there.
Nice. My guess is you and I will probably end up going there tomorrow.
Yeah.
I guess, because we should be able to get going tomorrow on that, and get to try that out, find out, and then next week we will cover more of what that is like. Talk about what we've got going, what we did there, what that experience was like.
Yeah.
I have no idea what to expect, so.
I heard some good things. The island's not very big, so it's easy to get around and do stuff.
Right.
A lot of good gear to re-catch up on. The 385, which is pretty cool.
Yep, I know there's some new dragon riding glyphs, and I believe you just mentioned it. There's some rares as well there.
Yeah, there's some rares that drop the catch gear out. The
awesome.
Concern is that kind of stuff. So
nice.
That's nice to get to 385. That's much needed.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yes. But the most important thing of the new zone is the new ring. My understanding for most classes is adding about 5k more DPS. Like 5k is a ton. Like, that's a huge number, 5k. But for some classes, it doesn't do very well because of stat wise,
Gotcha.
So for some classes that use it, I think all classes use it, but it's just stronger on some more than others, unfortunately. Actually, you might recognize this. You remember in the Mechagon, the trinket you can put the cogs and whatever, the stats?
Yes.
The ring's very similar to that. You put stuff in the ring.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, is it the what are they called? Primordial essence or something? Is that what goes in there?
I think so, yes.
See, I've been seeing all sorts of news on that in Discord, and just the other day, I was reading about, Blizzard has put a blue post about tuning for the primordial gems or whatever they were called. And I remember I looked at it, I go, oh, I'm glad they're tuning that. And then I go, wait, what are those? I was like, I don't know what this is. And so I was like, we'll have to look into that. And then it made me feel like I'm completely out of touch at the moment because I haven't been playing for a month or two now.
Yeah.
But now we'll get caught up. That's going to be the goal for tomorrow and next week for me myself to get caught up on all the new things and whatnot.
Yeah, same. Like I've been playing, but I've been kind of holding off for the new zone to do with you.
Yep.
Yeah. Moving forward a little bit, then we got the last part of the 0.7 that I have written down so far. It's the Twitch drop.
Yes.
So you want to talk about that?
Absolutely. Once I get done yawning because I'm tired because my sleep schedule is all sorts of messed up right now. So yes, right now I think I don't remember if I mentioned it last week or if I forgot to, but they've got a Twitch drop. It is the Disco toy. So if you watch 4 hours of somebody streaming World of Warcraft, can be multiple streamers, whatever. But you gotta watch 4 hours of streamers that have Twitch drops enabled and are eligible for that. You can watch 4 hours, get your Disco toy. I currently am at 72% of that. I don't know how I'm not at more of that because I thought I watched your stream for like 6 hours last week. But apparently not. Anyway, that is going on until April 3rd at 3 a.m. Eastern time. So it's going to be midnight Pacific time on April 2nd and April 3rd when we change over. So you've got another week and a half to get that if you haven't already. So head over to Twitch, watch somebody streaming some WoW. my man Bioshock was streaming last week or earlier this week. He is eligible,
Yep.
so if he's up streaming, you can check out his stream, get your
Yep.
toy. 4 hours of watching it. Pretty simple.
So, I have a issue.
Yes.
I claimed the disco toy 3 days ago, but I don't have it in game yet. So.
I know it. Sometimes that takes time.
Yeah, I remember the Feldrake took like a.
Yeah, it took like a day.
3 days.
Not
that it's huge for me, it's just a toy, but.
Yeah, I mean, it should be in there. You might just check on your Twitch. Did you already claimed it in your Twitch account and stuff, right?
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would maybe just double check on that, see if you still need to claim it. Did it give you a code? Because it might have been that it gives you a code. Because I think the last time I got a toy, it didn't actually like put the toy in my inventory. It just gave me a code to redeem from Blizzard. And then once I put that code in, no, it's like on the Twitch page. I don't know. We can go over it after the podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna scroll through real quick.
Yeah, it was just like a code that you put on the like a promo code that you would put in on the Blizzard site to receive it.
Right.
But I don't know because I'm only 72%, so I haven't gotten it yet. So we'll see.
All right. Yeah, I'll figure that out later.
But yeah, so go over to Twitch, get your disco toy.
Yes.
What else you got?
Okay, I don't have anything else for 0.7. If you want to move on, or do you have anything else you want to talk about with 0.7?
Let's move on. Yeah, I don't. You know more about 0.7 than me.
All right, so 10.1 probably coming in about what 2 months, 2.5 months, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I would say just either 2 months or just a hair under 2 months. I would say.
Yeah, a month and a half to 2 months.
Yeah, probably about 9 to 10 weeks away.
Yeah. So cross-faction guilds are coming this patch.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
That's excellent.
My question is, can you finally do normal queued content with the other faction then? If you have a cross-faction guilds, say, and I have a horde toon, I don't have an alliance toon, and you have a horde toon, can we queue up for a battleground together or no? Because right now, cross-faction, you can party up, but you can't queue for things.
Yeah, it would have to be like a rated battleground as of right now. I don't know the answer to that yet.
I feel like they would have to.
Yeah, so I feel like if you're gonna have cross-faction guilds, it just depends to what extent they're having cross-faction guilds. So does it mean? Because bare minimum, what I would expect a cross-faction guild to mean is that one, horde or alliance, doesn't matter if you're in the guild, you all can see the same guild chat. Whereas right now you can't, not without the aid of certain add-ons. Two, if you have 7 horde players and 5 alliance players, that would count as 12 guild members in the raid towards your making it a guild raid. So like normally you have to have 12 out of 15 would have to be a guild members. So I would imagine that number would count whether you're alliance or horde. Outside of that, I don't know if it's still going to keep you from being able to queue up for dungeons and stuff, for normal dungeons. Obviously, even now, cross-faction Mythic Plus and stuff like that, cross-faction raid, any kind of pre-made group content, any kind of pre-made group content, you can still do now, even with cross-faction.
Yeah.
I don't know if the cross-faction guild is going to change that with the queues. It would be nice, but I also don't see that as something that has to happen for them to call it cross-faction. I think the only two things that have to happen for them to be able to say, we have cross-faction guilds, is everyone has to be able to see the guild chat, whether you're Horde or Alliance, and then you have to count towards any kind of guild achievements regardless of Horde or Alliance. Those are the only two things that I see in my mind. If Blizzard doesn't make those two things happen, you don't have cross-faction guilds. So as far as the looking for group, I don't know. I would love it if they did, because that'd be great. Because I think you shouldn't, if you're helping your friend level, you shouldn't have to be the same faction to queue up for dungeons. If you're leveling as Alliance and I'm leveling as Horde, we shouldn't have to be, we should be able to still queue up. I understand we wouldn't be able to quest together, but I think if you want to do dungeons together, it shouldn't stop you.
Yeah.
Or honestly, it could even work where if you want to level together, it could work something similar to Party Sync where, okay, you're Alliance, I'm Horde, you turn Party Sync on, now I am able to do, I show up to everyone else as either a non-combative Horde member or I show up as an Alliance member to everyone else, and then I can do your Alliance quest with you and gain XP and everything for it. I mean, if you could do it with Party Sync, I don't see any reason you can't do that with factions. Like, I mean, you could take me and make me be from level 70 to drop down to level 10 and take away all my abilities above level 10. Why can't you just change my faction as well? Yeah, so I don't know. That's kind of my opinion on it. I don't see any reason why there needs to be any restriction outside of technology, but I feel like we have to have the technology to be able to do that. I don't see Blizzard not being able to pull that off technologically, but maybe not. I don't know. It seems like a pretty simple change in my opinion.
I agree. All right. So next is Shadow Priest rework coming in 0.1. So I don't know if you've seen much about the news. They're kind of tweaking it weekly at this point.
Right.
But they got some of the abilities they got rid of. They get rid of Mind Seer, which is like their AoE ability.
That's weird.
So, yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. But they put all of your AoE damage into Shadow Crash and Psychic Link, I think. Where Shadow Crash applies VT and Shadow Pain to both on up to 8 targets, and then your Mind Blast will cleave everyone hit with those dots, but for 60% of the Mind Blast damage.
Okay.
So and their Mind Stick will hit multiple people, Void Torn hit multiple people. This is more of a cleaving without using Mind Seer. So I mean, like I said, it's getting changed like weekly. They're tuning damage, they're tuning when talent points are picked up the tree and stuff like that. So yeah, so let's see what it comes. It doesn't really caught my attention, not that much.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what all they do with it. I mean, we're still pretty early in the PTR for 10.1, so there's going to be a lot of changes, especially if they're reworking the class. One thing that I will say, when it comes to reworking classes, even though Ret Pally is OP as can be right now, it was one of those things earlier I was kind of thinking to myself, I was like, man, this is why they should not do all this major class changes and stuff in the middle of the expansion, but yet they should be doing the changes, like, because in the past it's been, okay, this class is broken, all right, well, we'll fix it next expansion, like, or this class is terrible, not fun to play, the playstyle is awful, okay, well, we'll buff it, but the playstyle is still going to be boring or not fun or overly complicated and not fun, and it's now a lot stronger, but it's still not a fun class to play. And they've never really addressed that outside of expansion to expansion. So while it can be annoying that you have this week where Ret Pally is just obliterating everything and unkillable in PvP, it is good that they are looking at, okay, people didn't like the way this class played during this, the first half of patch 1, so let's change it and not wait 2 years to fix it. Because I think so far, I mean, we've seen major Druid reworks, we've seen major Paladin reworks, and major Shadow Priest reworks. I might be missing one somewhere in there as well. I don't know, but we've seen several major reworks to classes, and we're not even through season 1 yet.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's good that they're looking at this and they're not just going, well, sorry, we screwed up your class. We'll fix it in a couple years. you know.
Like, for example, like classes that were broken for so long and didn't get touched was Destrolock and Survival Hunter in the last season of Shadowlands.
Yeah. Well, I'm not even talking just like a season to season. For the most part, like that really was mainly tuning changes more than anything, not like the class play. They were just OP. But like what I'm talking about is like the class just plain isn't fun to play. And it's not a fun class. It's either too complicated or too boring, and they wouldn't do anything with it. They would tune it a little bit here and there, but they wouldn't actually fix the playstyle issues. And so, whether it was boring or too complicated, it stayed that way for an entire expansion. And then you would hope that they would rework it. They did. They reworked most classes each expansion. But yeah, not just a tuning thing, but like actually go through and completely say, hey, this class doesn't work the way that it is set up right now. Just not a good way to play. So let's change it. And I think it's a fine line because you're gonna have issues when you're addressing it that quickly. You're gonna have issues. You're gonna have a lot of the bugs that we've seen. I know Warlock had some massive bugs at the start of the week that were making them super OP and stuff like that. So it's a give and take. You're gonna have, when they're pushing all this out quickly, it's a give and take. You're gonna get major changes quickly, but then you're also gonna have major issues like Ret Pally being super OP and big bugs with the Destro lock that made them OP. So it can kind of make it take a little longer to get things to settle down, but I still think it's probably better than the alternative of saying, well, sorry, the class sucks. We'll fix it next expansion.
So going on to second, in point 1, season 2 is coming out.
Yep.
So a couple things we're gonna go over real quick, and we can dive into each one. Is that there's new tier sets.
Yes. Yep.
And tier bonuses, and there's a new dungeon pool coming, and so like that. So I'm gonna go over and say, have you seen all of, like the sets with like, the appearances?
All right, and we're back after some technical difficulties. Anyway, so yes, what I'd asked you, I was curious, have they changed any of the tier set appearances, or are they sticking with the original designs that they had, or what's going on with those?
So, the sets are not changing. The only thing that changes is the color. Now, this is a good thing and a bad thing, because the good thing is they put more work into all the sets, and they all look pretty good. Whereas previous seasons,
other than the Demon Hunter
set, the elite set in PvP or the mythic set in PvE changed the actual set in the way it looked, but not in this expansion. This expansion, just the color changes.
That's good.
So I like personally having like the mythic or the elite set be very different from the original gear, because it's like it actually stands out as opposed to just a different color. But like I said, the good thing with that is they put a lot more work into the set, I think, in general, to make them all look good.
Yeah, I think, because I know we talked about it last week a little bit in the podcast. But the tier sets, like the appearances on most of them are not bad at all. The priest one, I know we said the priest one is absolutely amazing looking.
This is the best set.
Yeah, the priest one looks fantastic.
It was really well done.
There were a lot of them that I thought were either good and really good, and then there's the priest one, which is just absolutely amazing off the chart. And then there were a couple that I thought those look kind of terrible. There were just a couple I was like, they're not really that great. And then there's the Demon Hunter one, which my personal opinion is the Demon Hunter one looks like something I would expect to get like on a starter character. Like it just doesn't look good to me. I feel like literally I look at the gear and I go, oh, isn't that the gear that I got when I created the character? That's what it looks like to me. I felt it looks really terrible. I think they could have done a much better job with Demon Hunter. I don't know who designed what, but if it was different people designing it, I wish we had gotten the person who designed the priest one to design the Demon Hunter. But
Yeah.
you know, and it's not to disparage the workers at Blizzard. I know they've put a lot of work in that stuff. I just think Demon Hunter 1, I think maybe they could have gone a different direction on it. It looked very
Yeah.
basic.
Yeah. And on the topic of the new tier set bonuses.
Yes, yes, very excited with some of these.
So now toolset might be different for a lot of them, but there seems like a lot of the two set pretty similar between most classes. Not like all of them, but like some have like AoE baked into like their two set or their four set. And I feel like a decent amount of classes have that. Cause I know Devastation Evoker has something like that, and then Frost Mage has something like that, and that makes like their Flurry explode or whatever. And there's some other classes that like kind of similar. Like, I'm not saying they're all the same, but I don't think for some classes the tier set bonuses would be great, or some for other classes would be really good.
Right.
Yeah.
I think what I noticed is it seems like more so than season 1 for sure. It feels like a lot of the 2-set bonuses are tied into the 4-set bonus as well.
Yeah.
And we had that with some of the classes in season 1, but I also feel like there were some classes where it was like 2-set bonus, your blah blah, your ability X and Y do 10% more damage, and then 4-set bonus, completely something has absolutely nothing to do with that original bonus ability, is something completely different, which I mean, it just depends on how it's set up. It can be fine to do it that way, but I think it's more impactful and powerful if they're tied in. So, you know, I think that's a big key. If you want something to be strong, give yourself a 2-set bonus that does X, Y, and Z, and then make your 4-set bonus do something that buffs X, Y, and Z. You know, that makes that, you know, whether it be X, Y, and Z now have AoE abilities, or X, Y, and Z now have a higher crit chance, or a higher proc chance, and then now the second bonus increases the damage by 10, 20%, whatever, which, from what I've seen, a lot of them seem to be the reverse of that. The 2-set increases the X, Y, and Z damage by 10%, 20%, and then the 4-set increases the amount of times you're able to use that ability. But no, I agree with what you're saying. I think a lot of them are kind of similarly built, to where it feels like the 2-set is increasing damage, whether it's AoE or making something become AoE, and the 4-set seems to be where it's making that ability happen more often.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with that. We'll see how it all plays out. I'm sure we'll end up with certain tier set bonuses being super OP and getting nerfed to the ground within the first couple of weeks, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Sure. I know I'm very excited about the Vengeance Demon Hunter one. I like it a lot. Still not as good as the tier set bonus we had at the end of Shadowlands. I don't know that we'll ever get as good of a tier set bonus as Shadowlands was.
I'm gonna bring something up that's gonna cause you some PTSD.
What?
BFA. Was that Void ability?
Void Eruption.
Void Eruption.
Yes, Twilight Devastation and Void Eruption.
Yeah, Twilight Devastation. That's it. Yeah. You were doing like more DPS than everybody's, I think.
Well, so the very first week that stuff was out, I got Void Eruption rank 3, which Void Eruption basically just you would build up a certain number of stacks, and then it would start, and when it happened was an RNG factor. So I might get to 10 stacks and then it would happen, or it might get to 30 stacks and it would happen. And then however many stacks you're at when it would finally proc, every stack, you would lose 1 stack every second, or every 2 seconds. I can't remember what it was, either 1 second or 2 seconds. And you would pulse for rank 3, it was 6% of your maximum health. You would pulse for that amount of AoE damage to everything around you. Yeah. And when you're a Demon Hunter, Demon Hunters already have way more health than most tanks anyway. And my damage went just from that one ability, that one passive proccing thing, there was nothing you had to do to make it happen, and it was a consistent damage too because it happened on almost every single pull. My damage went from being 30k DPS to being 50k DPS. This thing was an 80% increase in DPS. Like, it was absurd. Now, that got nerfed very quickly. That lasted for like 2 weeks, I think, and they nerfed it, and rightfully so, because that was super OP. I was out DPSing every DPS. But yeah, then Twilight Devastation. Twilight Devastation was a love and a hate relationship for tanks, because obviously when it proc, and for anybody, when it procced, it was amazing. That was a fun, fantastic. When it procced ability, it was, you hit for so hard. The downside was that if you were a tank and you jump into a pool and the DPS procs theirs before you proc yours, guess who got all the threat? Not the tank. I know Tech and Moku and Lynch would die all the time because they would jump in. I know Tech one time, I remember very specifically, he threw a glaive toss. The weakest ability a Demon Hunter has, and it proc Twilight Dev, and he pulled every bit of threat and got insta-killed. And all he did was a glaive toss. Stuff like that would happen, which, it was fun, though. I miss Twilight Devastation. It was a lot of fun. I loved the Twilight Corruption stuff, the Corrupted Armor. I enjoyed that a lot. I know it wasn't super popular with everybody, but I think it was a lot of fun for me personally.
Okay. Moving on. Do you have any specific tier bonuses to sets that you said you like the most, or just Vengeance?
I mean, the main one I've looked at is Vengeance. It's hard for me to look at the other sets and go, oh, that's gonna be awesome, just because I don't know a lot of the other classes nearly as well as I do Vengeance. I think I remember. I think the Brewmaster one I looked at, and I thought that one looked pretty good. I mean, some of the tank ones I was happy with. I didn't see anything that I was like, oh, that's a terrible bonus. I think they're all fine. But I'm hoping that the Prot Warrior one is a bit better than what it was, because the Prot Warrior set bonus is kind of boring for season 1.
I know for season 2, Feral Druid's set bonus is really bland.
Yeah. I think it's one of the things I do think they went a different route on. I know for season 1, most of the set bonuses were only a small increase in damage, at least we're supposed to be. And I think season 2, they just kind of threw that out the window. I think some of these set bonuses, you're going to see massive increases on damage and DPS and stuff.
I know, like, for example, the Feral one is like, every time they auto attack, there's a 25% chance to get 1% agility. And you get to like 5, and it will reset to 2. So you're getting like 2 to 5% agility, so it's kind of small.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like super big.
I forgot the 4 set was. The 4 set was like not the best either. It's not, well, it was terrible, but that 2 set was not very good. Okay. So with the new season coming in like 2 months ish, we got new dungeon pool coming.
Yes.
Which is
we got Freehold, Neltharian's Lair. We've got Nelfaris.
Brackenhide.
Yep, Brackenhide Hollow.
Freehold.
We've got, what was the other one we're getting?
Pull it up right now.
Freehold, Neltharian's Lair, Underrot, and then is there one from WoD, or is it from Mob?
We got Cataclysm Vortex Pinnacle.
Yes, Vortex Pinnacle. That's from Mob.
Yeah, Vortex Pinnacle. That's from Cataclysm.
Oh, it is Cataclysm.
Yeah, Vortex from Cataclysm, Underrot from BFA, Freehold from BFA, and the third layer from Legion.
Yep.
And then we have Halls of Fusion, Bracknite Hollow, Oldemon Lacy of Tyr, and Neltharis, and then the 4 ones I just listed.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to Bracknite Hollow. I don't think will be very fun right off the bat. It depends on what the tuning is. And then also, I really am not looking forward to Halls of Infusion. Just from running that dungeon on Mythic 0.
Right.
It feels like a dungeon where you're gonna need 3 melee or a shaman. You're gonna need lots of interrupts, lots of stuns, and it's gonna be important that people get them off correctly. Because otherwise that dungeon's gonna be really, really rough. That's kind of just my opinion on that particular one. I think the rest of them, I think Neltharin's Lair, whatever it's called, that one I don't think is gonna be too bad. And I don't think any of the old dungeons that are bringing back, I don't think any of those are gonna be too rough. I think they'll all be pretty decent. Freehold, of course, is the best dungeon ever made. So
brings me to my next question. What's your favorite dungeon coming? So here's
Freehold.
I'm looking. If I had to pick between, put it this way, I have to pick between one of the first 4 and one of the second 4. So like, you pick Freehold. What's your Dragonflight Season 2 dungeon that you like out of the 4 of those? I think personally,
I mean, it's hard to say without having done them on Mythic Plus, but from a Mythic 0 perspective, I would say that I would have to go probably Oldemon or the Neltharis.
Oh, you like Neltharis?
Yeah, I don't like Halls. I don't like Halls at all. I think Halls is gonna be a bad time. The dungeon itself is fine, but I think it's gonna be a bad time in Mythic Plus, man. I don't know.
I personally like Bracknite Hollow. I know it's well to be tuned, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna be really, really the main storyline, in my opinion, when it comes to Season 2. Is what is the tuning on these dungeons? Because we saw it with Season 1, the tuning was all over the board. I mean, you had Shadow Moon Burial Ground, which was easy the entire season, the easiest key out there. And then you had Ruby Life Pools, which was
so hard.
That was literally absolute hell to go through that dungeon. That was one of the worstly tuned dungeons, and I don't think it's gotten much better. I know a lot of people complain about Azure Vaults, but Azure Vault was fine until you get to the higher keys. On the higher keys, I think it was poorly tuned. It scaled badly, I guess, is the main issue with Azure Vaults. It scaled badly. Ruby Life Pools, doesn't matter what level you do that dungeon on, it's a nightmare. It's terrible. You could do it on a 5 and it would be terrible. Ruby Life Pools is the hardest dungeon in there, and the tuning, I still don't think they really ever got the tuning done well in there. I think it's still a very tough dungeon. I think the issue wasn't even so much that it was tough, it was the fact that it was so tough, the difficulty was up here, and then you got Shadow Moon Burial Grounds way down here. There was such a discrepancy between the dungeons, man. That was the biggest issue, I think, is such a difference between the top level and the bottom level. And that's, I think, what I really would prefer they avoid for this season, but I don't know. We'll see. Week 1 will probably be very interesting. No seasonal affix. That'll be new.
Oh, it's interesting.
That'll be. I mean,
I think
I think I like it too. Because it kind of
ideas what to do.
It kind of takes away some of the pressure. Because I know for me, and it's just a me thing. As a tank, I'll tell you what, I get to those levels. The first part of the season, I'll run 8s, 9s, no problem. And I'm always nervous to take that first step into a 10 because of that seasonal affix. So I think it's kind of nice for me personally, because I already know every single affix we're going to have to deal with. I don't have to learn something new. So I'm okay with it for myself. I don't know if that's necessarily a good idea from a Blizzard standpoint. I don't know if it's good to do this. But I also know that the Thundering Affix was not well received. I personally don't think it was that bad. I just felt like it was kind of and we talked about this last week, where it's kind of an affix where you were punished for doing the mechanic correctly,
Yep.
and I feel like that's kind of never a great thing. You should have
Yeah,
gotten
it should
rewarded
be.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than if you do it correctly, you lose the buff. It should be you get the buff once you do it
Combine it.
correctly.
Well, I feel like we could have done as well is like you get positive and negatives, and you run to each other, and you as soon as you touch someone else, you get a 10% buff. So like
Right.
you can get your tank and healer can go together, or your tank and DPS and your other DPS can hit each other, and they get the damage increase. And that fourth or the fifth person just doesn't get anything. I don't know. I just a
Well,
thought. Like,
I mean,
we
yeah.
could have made it better.
Yeah, very similar to what you said. Like the way it works now is you get the buff, you run into each other, boom, you lose the buff. I think
Yeah.
it should have been you get a debuff, and then as soon not necessarily get anything, but you have the positive and the negative debuff.
Yeah.
As soon as you combine, then you get the
Then you get
buff
the
for
buff.
10
Yeah.
seconds. Do the
Yeah.
mechanic correctly, and then you get
Get
rewarded
the reward.
instead
Yeah.
of you get somebody that wants to do it right away
Yep. That's
and
awful.
it punishes everybody. And I get
Yeah.
what they were going for. They were going for more of a strategist type thing
Yeah.
where, okay, time it right and wait till the last second and do it and take the risk versus reward. But I don't think that's the right approach for a seasonal affix. Seasonal affixes, in my opinion, should be more of a reward for doing a mechanic instead of a punishment. But I'm okay. Personally, I'm perfectly fine with not having a seasonal affix. It takes the stress out of it a little bit for me. Makes me more. I'll be jumping into 10s probably faster than I normally do, just because the only difference is damage increase. That's it. So yeah, no, I'm happy with that. Another change that we have with the seasonal affix or the new season is this was just announced. I think earlier today, maybe is when I saw this. They are increasing the item level reward for season 2 for the lower levels. So like the first 10, 11 levels, it looks like. So like your weekly reward from the Great Vault. For level 2 and 3, it's about 7 item levels higher than it was for season 1. For a 4, it's about 10 item levels higher than it was for season 1. And this is not like direct, like, oh, it was 385 in season 1, now it's 395. This is like the equivalent. So if it's a 415 for level 2 in season 1, that was like a 382. So now it's 415. Whereas if they were keeping it the same, it would have been like a 408. So, at level 4, it's 10 item levels higher. Level 5 is 6. Level 6 is 9 item levels higher. Level 7, 6 item levels higher. 8, 9, and 10 are 7. 11 and 12 are 3 item levels higher. 13 is the same. And then a 14 is 3 levels item levels higher. So,
nice.
Yeah, and then 15 through 20 are the same, essentially, as what they were. But looks like so for a level 20, end of the week reward is going to be 447. So that tells me mythic level gear, that high end gear, you're talking between a 444, 443 to like a 450 is probably 450 is probably the top item level that we're going to be seeing.
Yeah.
Other than from like the ultra rare items, I would guess that final raid bosses. Like the final mythic raid boss, probably gonna be dropping 5 or 450 gear. So just kind of get an idea. End of the dungeon item level hasn't really changed. It looks like it's same scale rate as it was. But 431 for 19s and 20s for end of dungeon. 15s are gonna be 424. 10s are 415. 5s and 6s are 408.
So it's kind of popped in my head. Now, I know this is not how it works, but I don't know if it would work very well, but the thought literally just came to my head. I thought maybe instead of having a chest at the end of a mythic dungeon, have loot on each boss. I don't know if that's good or not. Actually, no, because people get the loot and leave.
Yeah, that would be the issue. Plus, the loot is also determined based off the timing and such.
True.
Well, honestly, so here's a thought. What if your loot was not based off do this dungeon and maybe you get loot at the end of the dungeon? What if it was you do
currency?
No. What if you do 2 dungeons? Because like right now it's 2, 4, and 8 for your weekly chest, right? So what if you do? Because for raid you have what, 8 bosses. So let's say you have 8 chances to get loot. So what if for Mythic Plus, and this would also allow them, I think, to maybe increase it or make it so it's not so much like, oh, we don't want you farming Mythic Plus for gear, so we have to keep the gear low. What if you do your first 2 dungeons? When you complete the second dungeon, you're guaranteed a piece of loot. And then when you complete that 4th dungeon, you're guaranteed a piece of loot. And then you complete your 8th dungeon, you're guaranteed a piece of loot. And then you get your weekly. So you get 4 pieces of loot for doing 8 Mythic Pluses for the week.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? I don't know. That's kind of popped in my head there.
Probably a bit better than what I thought, to be honest.
I don't know.
It'd be cool to have more options of getting loot, but then the whole timing would have no purpose then, and people get their loot and wouldn't care at the time because it's useless at that point, so they just get their gear and leave. That's the issue with the one I said, but I think yours is better than mine, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking, because like I think to me the biggest issue with Mythic Plus is, one, the end of dungeon loot is kind of meh. But I feel like also the other issue is you can run 10 dungeons and not get a single piece of loot sometimes.
Yeah.
We've all seen it happen. You've had it happen to you. I've had it happen to me. It happens from time to time where people just get that incredibly bad luck. So if you had a stopgap in there where instead you don't get loot at the end of the dungeon, and instead you get loot for your 2nd dungeon, your 4th dungeon, your 8th dungeon, and then your end of week. And you could make your 2nd and 4th one and 8th one, whatever. It doesn't have to be like the same item level as the end of the week one. It can be a lower item level, like your end of dungeon type level, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that would also allow Blizzard to stop taking the approach of, what do we have to do to keep people from just farming Mythic Plus for loot? You know, because I know that's one thing they always have in mind for Race for World First. They don't want people farming Mythic Plus for loot. Well, if you put a cap as to how much loot you can get from Mythic Plus for the week, then I don't know, maybe that fixes that. Now, the con of that idea is fresh character that you just, you could be halfway through the season, fresh tune you just made, you kind of losing any ability to catch up gear through Mythic Plus.
Right.
So I don't know if maybe that's something where, I don't know, maybe that's something where it's like higher key levels, maybe you do that for or something, and like anything below, I mean, maybe you could make it where your it does that for like plus 15s and higher. So like if you and anything below a plus 15, you can farm it over and over. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah. So the other thing left to have on the notes is, when is it coming? We already kind of covered it though.
Right.
We're thinking late April, early May, possibly.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm gonna say either the 2nd or 3rd Tuesday in May, because I think the first, like May 1st, I think is a Tuesday or a Monday.
Right.
Let me double check here. Yeah, so May 2nd is the first Tuesday, so I'm thinking either May 9th or May 16th. That's my guess. May 9th or May 16th. You heard it here first. My only reasoning for thinking that is if you go a week later than those two, then that is technically summer, and they said it would be in the spring. That's my only reasoning on there. So yeah. But no, I think probably early May is when we see it.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I got distracted there.
So you got
What else?
anything else, or you want to go into weekend
Uh,
WoW?
Let's show our week in WoW, and for you,
All
it's
right.
the week in Elden Ring. So go ahead, catch up on your Elden Ring
All
shenanigans.
right. Yeah, I've been doing a lot in Elden Ring. Last Saturday night, had a nice big stream. A couple buddies hanging out in the stream, watching and stuff, while I took on what is widely known as the most difficult boss in Elden Ring, Miss Melania, Blade of Michaela, who has never tasted defeat. And she tasted defeat. It took 2.5 hours and 44 attempts, or 42 attempts, but we got it down.
Nice.
The very first attempt went something like this. Walk in. Oh, there's the boss. Okay, let's see. Boom, boom, dead. I literally died in about 3 seconds flat in the very first attempt. I did not get a single hit in. She just came in and absolutely wrecked me. But yeah, no, she was a very fun fight. I have to say, it was difficult, but it was a very, very fun fight. I think my third attempt, I got it to the second phase of the fight very, very easily. And just that alone made it feel like, okay, I could get her down at any moment. So it didn't feel like a boss. It didn't feel like something where like when I first faced the Crucible Knight, and part of it was because I was still learning the game. When I faced the Crucible Knight, the first 30 pulls and attempts on him, I don't think I got him more than 20% of his health down. Like, it just felt like it was an impossible task, and that made it frustrating. With her, it felt like I can get her down easily. I just have to flawlessly execute the first phase. But no, it was a lot of fun. Much thanks to the guys that were hanging out for that one. It was a lot of fun. They were helping me keep track of the counts and whatnot. But no, other than that, I've been playing a little bit of the Elden Ring. We got through all of the burning of the tree and through the next zone. All I have left is I got one more dungeon I need to do, and then the final zone, and then that'll be it, which I will be doing later tonight, probably.
Cool.
And then other than that, took the like I said earlier, took the kiddo to the children's museum for the Minecraft exhibit, and he and I got his computer working finally. So
Nice.
we've been playing Minecraft together on there and been having a blast doing that. But as far as my plans for WoW, after I finish Elden Ring tonight, tomorrow I will definitely be diving in. You and I will be heading to the Forbidden Reach and checking out that zone, and then probably running a couple keys. Excuse me, tomorrow evening and such. We'll see exactly how that goes, but yeah, we'll probably run some keys tomorrow night and shake some of the rust off my Demon Hunter, get him back and moving. But yeah, I'm sure I'll play some Minecraft with Kiddo tomorrow at some point as well. But yeah, no, that's kind of been my week. And I know here in, I think, basically 3 weeks from tonight, I think it is. 3 or 2. Let me double check. 3 weeks or 2
For
weeks
what?
from tonight. That's not what I'm looking for. That's the clock. Here's the calendar. 3 weeks from wait, nope, that's the wrong month.
Oh, you're talking about your speed run?
Yes, 2 weeks from tonight. 2 weeks from tonight.
Let's go.
I am going to be doing my first speedrun attempt of Dragonflight. So we will see. I know the last that I have seen, Haldren got a time of like 6 hours and 58 minutes. So that is going to be the time we're going to be trying to beat. I do not expect to beat it this attempt, because it's my first attempt for the expansion. But that's going to be the goal, and that's ultimately, obviously, the goal is to get under that 6 hours and 58 minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not sure if I'll get it, because I think that I need to switch to using a monk. I think
Really?
I think a monk is going to be the better option. I just think the Demon Hunter starting zone. I'm still going to test it. I'm going to do a Demon Hunter for this run. But I think that ultimately the monk is going to end up being faster, because I think the Demon Hunter starting zone, there's nothing really you can do to shorten that time on the Demon Hunter starting zone, and I do think it takes too long for speedruns now, especially with the way all the scaling is. But we'll see. It depends. If I can hit like level 30 by the time I'm done. Normally I'm like level 22. If I can hit level 30 or something, then maybe it's worth it. But that's why we're going to run the Demon Hunter this time. Test it out, and then we'll see. I'll look at the results and kind of analyze it a bit and see. And then probably the next run will be on a monk. but I'll have to also get used to the monk and figure out defensively. I need to get better at surviving on the monk, because that seems to be my main issue with a Windwalker monk. It's just when I was leveling up in Dragonflight, I was just dying too easily. So I gotta get better. I gotta get better at a monk before I can really make it competitive in speedrunning. And part of that's just experience. Like, that's why I run the Demon Hunter, because I know the Demon Hunter well. It's nearly impossible for me to get killed as a Demon Hunter unless I just make a mistake. But I know it so well, it's really easy for me to run the Demon Hunter. But I do think that Windwalker Monk is probably the better route for speedrunning and Dragonflight. So we're going to be practicing that and getting better at it. And what about you? What about you for your week in WoW?
I don't know, but over with you. I played just about every tune I have. And I was looking at tier set bonuses and stuff like that. And I was at a point where I wanted to pick a class to directly PvP with. But how I'm turned off of PvP right now, I'm kind of going off of classes that seem the most fun for Mythic Plus. So I made a list, went through some, narrowing it down, and tried to narrow down to a caster and a melee to just at least start off on. Cause I know I'll end up playing more, but I want to have like a first couple mains that I can go back to, kind of like how I had my Evoker for season one. Yeah, I'm still deciding, but I think I've narrowed it down to a few that I've done this week. I think I got one more class I forgot to look into, and we didn't talk about it. Was I'm going to look into Enhancement Shaman. So we'll see that, but I'm kind of leaning towards a Druid and a Demon Hunter possibly, just for sheer fun.
Right.
So yeah, this is my week. Is just a lot of narrowing down, testing a lot of stuff, having fun, messing with specs that I really played before. But yeah, that's all I've done in a while. I'm looking forward to going to the new zone soon.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I'm glad that you spent the week testing down and narrowing down your classes to 1 or 2 classes that you'll play for the first 2 weeks and then play 20 other classes.
Yeah, for real.
But no, it'll be, like I said, I think after tonight, I'll be jumping right back into WoW and pushing again and getting right back on that horse and getting ready for Season 1. I definitely want to play my Brewmaster Monk and keep testing out, because it was a lot of fun. It's a very, very different than the tanking style that I'm used to. But it was a lot of fun. It has an interesting rotation, interesting stuff on it, so we'll see. Yeah. That's about it for me, I think.
Yeah.
So you got anything else to add?
Nope. Yeah, I did start streaming again a little bit, so
Yep.
Probably be streaming some tonight as well. So we'll
awesome. That'll be fun to see. But yeah, no, I think that about covers it. So until next time. I guess I should say up top are my socials. Yep. So I got at twitch.tv/Buckblind. YouTube is Buckblind the Demon Hunter. Twitter is @BuckblindDH. And Bio, what are yours?
Got Twitch and YouTube, both QQ_Bioshock.
There we go. All right, so those are our socials. Feel free to check us out. Give us a like, give us a follow. Of course, this video will be up on my YouTube channel, Buckblind the Demon Hunter. So give it a like, subscribe, whatever. If you want to watch more podcasts we've got. Yes, absolutely. Drop some whatever feedback you want in the comments. Let us know what you think. You know, what are your favorite tier sets? What are your appearances? What are your thoughts on the bonuses? Whatnot? Yeah. You know, if you play a Ret Pally, are you happy with it right now? Or are you mad? But yeah, no, give us some comments, whatever you want. And, you know, we'll be happy to respond. Yeah, thank you all for watching. And hope everyone has a great week. And we will see you next time.
See ya.